So, okay. Okay, the link is in community. So feel free to begin whenever.
And we're ready to go.
Yes, we're live streaming and I believe, yep, the people are on the call.
Okay. I like to say good. I have it's after 5, but being that the sun is still shining, um, it's hard for me. Good afternoon. But we are going to get started. Welcome to everyone. I do have some fellow board members on here with me. My name is Shantae Brody. I'm chair of the Hartford Board of Education. And I am calling to order our May 2026 Finance Committee meeting. And we're going to jump right into the agenda. And I believe I am tossing it to our CFO, Ms. Caitlin Richard.
Yeah, I can start. Yeah, we're gonna go right into contracts as the first part. So we're gonna go to the leads on that. And I think E-rate is our first agenda item. And then we'll move into, I believe, 5 more contracts.
Okay, Ms. Santiago, you're going to have to send that to me.
Text
So
message,
who's leading on E-rates? Because I heard part of what you said.
Joel Figueroa from MHIS, and he is on the call.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, Mr. Figueroa, the floor is yours.
Okay, wonderful. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time. I am going to be talking about the E-rate contract. And for those who don't know, um, the E-rate is the Universal School and Libraries Program, which basically subsidizes and makes tech more affordable for the less affluent towns and districts, to kind of like bridge that um, technology divide that can occur when, affluent areas and less affluent areas go toe to toe. This is a way for the government provide subsidies to basically discount tech spend. If you can skip to slide 3, Christina, thank you. um, Yes, so this is a little background from the E-rate website, that basically goes into and talking about the E-rate program. I kind of covered this, so let's go on to the next slide. Okay, so yeah, so the discounts percentages are dependent upon the amount of free reduced lunches within a given student population within a given district, which can range between 20 and 90%. Hartford usually falls in at about the 90% for category 1 and 85% category 2. So that means we basically get 85 and 90% discount off of tech spend, which actually allows us to stretch our limited budget very, very far, and allows us to do a lot with a little. If we can go to the next slide. So our application for this year will consist of course, continuing to pay for all the building interconnects, all the fiber that connects all the school buildings, and the internet service that the district leverages. That falls under the category 1 bucket, which is kind of like that infrastructure tech spend. Category 2, we're carving up the district into a third of the schools, and we're going to upgrade some really old legacy switch equipment, which is probably at about 12 to 13 years at least, which means they're well past their useful life. So in terms of money, we already factor that into our budget request. So we've already been budgeted for the 10 and 15% that Hartford Public Schools will have to pay to meet that 85 and 90% discount. Going on to the last slide, this is kind of a breakdown of the costs per year. So those are our vendors. The total request is how much we requested in total for the year. The E-rate reimbursement is what the federal government will be picking up. And then the HBOE column is our required contribution amount. Like I said, that money's been earmarked and budgeted for. We just need approval from the board to actually allow us to make the contract become legal and enforce in terms of the E-rate program. If you can see, we've requested about $3 million. We're gonna get a 2.6 million, and our required spend is 440,000. So an 86% discount is pretty good. If it isn't approved, then we have to figure out how to come up with that real money cost. At least definitely the top portion, the category 1 spend, which is what keeps the district tech, internet access, all that actually like running. So yeah, that's pretty much the long and short of it. Any questions?
Let me go full screen.
And this year for category 2, we're going to be upgrading edge switches at a third of the schools. We're going to break it into a 3-phased project because even though we do get these funds, we are limited to the student population. So this year for a 5-year cycle, we are able to access about $3.2 million in total. So we have to manage this because we actually want to stretch it out as long as possible. Then in 2029, 2030, we'll get a new 5-year, a new budget reloaded, depending again on what the government figures for what a per student reimbursal rate is and what our numbers are will determine what we get in the next 5 years. But we plan on at that point in time, if we have to, we'll stretch the phases of this project into that new year to make sure that we can leave money for our fiber interconnections, our internet spend, our wireless licensing, and those types of tech purchases.
Question really quickly. So this is for the entire school district for all of our buildings that we're operating?
Yeah, so category 1, that is an unlimited budgeted amount. So we have no cap on that. So that is where the district-wide internet service will come out of. That's how that's paid. Our leased fiber that connects the buildings, that's how we're able to pay for that, to keep those links up, and that traffic, that internet traffic, that network-wide enterprise traffic moving throughout school buildings and out to the internet. The category 2 is limited, so we have to try to manage that a little better and carefully. So for that, to try to stretch it out, we're going to do a third of the schools, but it is the total project will get to the entire district. But this first year, we only plan for a third of the schools because after that, it's the labor to install and configure and all that. So yeah, in a matter of stretching money and time and resources, that's the best way we can do it.
But so for schools that I'm assuming we're already under E-rate, how do the cycles go?
So the cycles, they used to be yearly. You got a yearly budget and you bought what you needed. They moved in 2021 or 22, they moved to a 5-year cycle. So you're allotted a certain amount of money to use within 5 years, how you choose. And then once you use that money, you can no longer apply for federal resources. And then once that 5-year window turns, then you get a new 5-year window. So this is our second 5-year window in this new format.
Okay, so I'll stop my question. I see Mr. Mills has his hand raised. Board Member Mills?
Yes, thank you for your presentation. A couple questions.
Mhm.
One, the third of the schools in the district that are gonna get upgrades, how are we choosing those?
We're choosing them by the oldest equipment. So the oldest, and the oldest and the schools that have um, more harsh environments where the data is kept. So those that are most likely to see a failure sooner than the rest. Yeah, so
Gotcha.
that's determined by, there have been schools that have been more recently renovated, newer equipment in previous E-rate cycles. So these are the ones that have probably gone back to about maybe 2013,
Gotcha. And so then I know you also said that the amount for FY27 is already included in the district budget, so we don't need to appropriate new funding or budget for new funding. Is it the same amount in the out years? So like for FY28, like what is it that for, like what's the dollar value that we'll have to be looking for going forward?
So it depends on what we apply for. We try to make it fit with the budget that we have. So we try to like massage the application to make sure that we have enough resources to cover it without asking for more or extending our budget, in effort to just be financially responsible, or at least fiscally, try to be,
Yeah, I got you.
yeah.
But so just to reiterate though, all things being equal, like which I know is never really a real thing, but going forward, you don't, at least from what we know now, anticipate us having to spend more from our budget in the out years. Like as of all the information we have.
No. We try not to exceed. Now there are cost increases that we've been seeing across all vendors in terms of like licensing and hardware. We're trying to forecast that as much as possible, as well as we can, and we're trying to leverage, if we can, and if we're allowed, multi-year deals to try to get discounts for equipment that's fixed and installed and we're not changing from, to try to get that spend down and to avoid or absorb those cost increases that inevitably occur. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry. I don't see any more hands for that. Thank you, Mr. Figueroa, for that presentation.
You're very welcome. Thank you for your time.
In case your phone is wonky, still the next contract is Frontline, and Trini Ed Wilson is on the call.
Good evening, everyone. The next contract is for our Frontline Technologies contract. The oversight of that contract is in two departments here at Hartford Public Schools. On the time and attendance side, the labor relations team oversees that, and we're going to talk a bit about our evaluation platform, which is part of this contract, that lives in the Office of Schools Leadership. Tie it into our mission, as indicated on this particular side. It's our mission is to provide our students with learning and supports they need to succeed in school and life, with the vision that all students will graduate, be prepared, and to transform our world. If we could go to the next slide. High level, the contract cost is $171,083.88. It's split, the time and attendance that I mentioned earlier, approximately $110,274.28 lives in the labor department, with the evaluation side being approximately $60,809.60. This is a one-year contract. We've been utilizing this vendor in this capacity for approximately 6 years. And this is our platform for time and attendance and record keeping, that includes requesting and tracking leave time. We'll talk a bit about SubFinder. And this is also the way we maintain and track our evaluations, as it has an evaluation management module. On the next slide, we talk a bit about our strategic priorities and objectives. This is tied to our objective 4, operational and management excellence on a large scale. This platform ensures that we're accurate with our time management, accurate with our accruals, has a process in which your leave time is approved, and as I mentioned, has the SubFinder platform, as well as making sure that we're high level as it pertains to our evaluation processes. The next slide, we're actually going to talk a bit more about time and attendance. On the time and attendance slide, there's unlimited account creation for our staff members. This vendor has been very receptive to our data imports for job types, account codes, account allocations, positions, user enrollment, user assignments, and work schedules. It is very good with the system integrations and absence management, as well as data reporting. We do pull a lot of reports for various issues and questions that we might have across. Individual is about to retire. We need to know their accruals, as an example, or just accruing and providing data reports across years and across work types for various number of reasons. In regards to on slide 6, the frontline system also does our absence and substitute management. This is the platform where teacher calls out, calls to find a sub. So Frontline provides that support. Again, the unlimited account creation, the ability for the data imports, data reporting, and technical support as part of the platform as well. We talked a bit about the evaluation tool and the professional growth, and this is actually the slide 7. This module stores our evaluations for our certified staff, our parent educators, our early childhood educators, for example, and is an essential application for our human resources management. So that is a very important tool for us on the evaluation side that speaks to our operation and management effectiveness. And then the slide 8. This is one of our core management systems supporting both the tracking and management of our employee time and attendance. We have contracted with this provider for about 6 years, renewing it on an annual basis. The system is essential for our organization as it both tracks employee time worked and employee leave time. I will note that my team has also, looked around the market and recently had a presentation from a similar vendor, just to making sure we're maintaining cost effectiveness with utilizing this tool. This tool is still largely utilized throughout the state of Connecticut. It does have at least one primary competitor that we did meet with recently. The cost here, the total cost of the 171, we feel is a very competitive cost, and the provider has been very receptive to the district and our district needs. So the ask is for the board to approve this contract for the $171,000 to renew this contract on both the time and attendance side as well as the evaluation side. And with that, I'll park for any questions.
I see Mr. Walker.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Attorney Wilson, thanks for the presentation. Two questions. First one is quick. You talked about the competitive analysis you did this year. Does your team store those results somewhere so they can be found or whatnot? I'm asking the question because I'm assuming you're doing this periodically out of some level of obligation, or periodically you just need to do it by some rule. So how do you show you comply?
Yeah, so I have the quote from the vendor. So yeah, I do have the documentation that we met with the vendor, had a presentation as to a similar tool. So that's absolutely something we could provide.
Yeah, and thank you. I would just ask did you find some repository just to keep it if it's something that we, to prove we did it.
And Mr. Walker, I'll also share there. My team goes to events with other districts, so they do have conversations in those spaces about what tools that other districts are utilizing.
Yeah.
Also, in terms of our interface with the tool, making sure that it's responsive to our needs. So we do look at it from a lot of different perspectives, making sure that we're still being cost effective while utilizing the tool. Shaking the trees as what other school districts are utilizing. Are they pleased with their tool? And then we took the next step and actually had that vendor come in and meet with us, and actually have a quote that we could share with the board from that particular vendor. And Frontline remains competitive.
No, thank you. That's good. I think what you just voiced is absolutely the right thing, and however that's captured is perfect. But what you suggested is a good approach that your team has taken. That's a segue into my second question, really, which is around the potential for a repository for substitute pairs. I think one thing I heard in conversations from SGA is there's some school districts that have created a repository for substitute pairs, like we have substitute teachers. And so when a school doesn't have a pair, other districts have a way to reach out to some, repository of potential workers. And so they're able to bring somebody in or reach out to somebody and do some planning and be planful about that. The impression I have here is that we don't have that right now. And so if someone doesn't show up, some schools just don't have their pair for the day or whatever. And so wanting with that Frontline tool, if you talk to other districts, what's the possibility of us, adding that into our system? Should we just decide to go that direction? Is it possible for us to add that as a module within Frontline?
I am very familiar with what you're talking about. I think the first, I'm not aware, Mr. Walker. I could follow up to see if they have that module. I am aware of a module does exist, and that was actually part of the presentation I was speaking to before from the other vendor, right? But first of all, you would have to have a sub pool. So the complication with the pairs would be not having a sub pool. So it works for the teachers. Our SSOs, we have a sub pool. But to your point, for the jobs that we actually have a sub pool, can the actual vendor call the sub pool when there's a vacancy in the building? I could get back to you as to whether or not Frontline has a capacity to do that. I'm not aware as I'm talking to you right now, whether or not that's a module we can add, but I can actually follow up with that.
Yeah, okay, well, thanks. So looking at that, I think I haven't worked out all the details, so it needs to be studied. The thing that I heard in terms of just a simple solution is, given the uncertified nature of the staff, some districts have used a third party, almost like a Kelly service, in a dedicated way. It's indicated we need this type of profile of person, and so you leverage a place like Kelly, and they maybe have a cadre of 6 or 8 folks that they tee up, and so on any given day, if you needed something, they'd have that. It makes it a little bit simpler, right, than us needing to reinvent the wheel or something around there. So I don't think we can work it out here, but my question is, if we did do some work on it, could we figure out a way? So if you were going to research that and how that could happen, that would be good. It just seemed like a nice feature that we could possibly add in the future.
I agree with you, and that is an evolving tool with time and attendance. I will name that. Whereas the actual tool, like a Frontline, would have the names of the subs, and if there's an absence, they could just call them. So I could even follow up as to that. If that's a module, that's not, aside from our teachers, that's not something we utilize Frontline for. But it wouldn't surprise me if, provided that we have the employee sub pool, if that's a module we can add. But I can absolutely follow up on that.
I'm assuming we are aware that is a whole budget that we don't have.
If I can speak, yes.
I just wanted to add that. Now,
Oh,
it having its capability is one thing.
Right.
That's a whole nother world for Hartford Public Schools.
Right. I wouldn't want to make that a barrier. It's just start the journey somewhere. And yeah, we'd have to at some point then decide if we want to embark on that being a line item. I only elevated it because other districts have it, not because they're wealthy. I think they find a benefit in it. And we may also find a benefit in it. We'd have to research it some more to understand.
Yeah, that leads to a question that I won't start when we think about a paraprofessional and a relationship. Most paraprofessionals are one-on-ones, and the relationship of the pair and the child and introducing a child in and out. So that just takes me in a whole different direction, but we can talk about that offline or another times, dedicate some time for that. But I didn't know, did anyone else have any questions? Are you all set, Mr. Walker?
Excuse me. Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
Attorney.
Mhm.
Go ahead. You said you all set?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so thank you, Attorney Wilson, for that presentation. And for Parent Square, we have Mr. Pedro Zayas.
Hello, everybody, dear board members and CFO Richard, Christina, and all the rest. I'm here to present on the renewal of Parent Square. Parent Square is our main tool for direct communication to parents. It's a continuation of our previous year. The current estimated cost for the following school year is $105,322.80. This comes out of the general funds, and we began the full implementation of Parent Square in June of 2021. It's an all-in-one platform, as many of you know, and it integrates the information in PowerSchool, which is updated daily, so that we have the latest information from parents. It's used by central office staff, teachers, principals, SESSPs, school nurses, and SESs to send communications. Again, we use it for direct messaging with families. We also use it for post, smart alerts, secure docs, which has generated a lot of savings, and attendance messaging. It also includes training for site administrators, and it's pretty easy to understand now that we are going into the 5th year of implementation. Next slide, please. And again, it's a direct messaging tool where parents choose their language and their preferred method of communication, via text, via email, via voice. It also populates on the app and on our website. Messages can be delivered to everybody if they're not urgent at 6 p.m., or we can override if it's an urgent message so that they are delivered instantly. Next slide, please. Parent Square is an opt-out platform, not an opt-in platform, which means everybody is enrolled in it. And so long as parents keep their choices and information, contact information updated, we should have a large enrollment. Families can choose their media, right? Email, text, or phone call. They can choose when do they receive it at 6 p.m. for digest, or again, we can override as a sender for urgent messages. Parents can also choose their preferred language. Next slide, please. Again, it allows for messages, which is the key for Parent Square. Other companies do not allow for text messages. We have currently over 4,000 parents choosing text messages as their main communication method. Next slide, please. Here you see, right, the fact that Parent Square is the only one with text message, two-way text messaging. while the other companies do provide email, app notifications, and phone calls, they do not provide SMS text messaging for those 4,000 and plus parents choosing that text messaging. Next slide. Again, it's a real two-way communication. So if a teacher sends out a communication to a specific student or to a group of students, that teacher can receive communication back from parents. And we have over 190 languages supported. Next. Here's a slide showing the percentage of students with at least one contactable parent. And as you see, the numbers, the trends have been increasing since implementation in 2021. Next slide. Again, 98.2% of families are reachable, so almost 100%. Again, so long as parents continue to updating their information, we can reach them. Next slide. These are the numbers, the current data, as you see, is 16,141 students. That includes adult education. And that's why it's a little bit a bigger number than our enrollment that we usually talk about, 15,500 students or so. And there you see the 98% rate contactability. Next slide. Here you see the 4,000 folks choosing text message, and thankfully many of our parents have downloaded the app, almost 8,000 of them, which is probably the best way to keep track of all the messaging and the order of messages and the back and forth. The failure rate is also extremely important. I remember many years ago when we had a different system where it would take forever for the computer to dial up all these numbers, and we would have significant failure rates at times. Right now, the failure rate is at 0%. This is just more for your information on the use. Here are the languages preferred. Obviously, Spanish at the very top. Nearly 8,000 of our parents enrolled in Parent Square are choosing Spanish, followed by Portuguese, Tamil, Albanian, and the rest of the languages that you see here. Obviously, communicating in multiple languages is a key factor for us to make sure every parent has the information they need to be aware of their child's education and participate in. Next slide. Secure document delivery, I was talking earlier. This allows us to save money on postage, almost $40,000 saved on postage just on the grade reports. But any secure document, which includes private information of the student, can be sent without postage, without paper, without time, without print shop resources being used. So this is a very important area of the investment in Parent Square, and we are looking to see further implementation at the schools of the secure document transaction so we can have more savings. You see there 867 templates used for 24-25. In the next slide, next slide, please. You'll see 979 templates. Now, one template can be used for a whole school or for a whole classroom, right? It's just templates. So you see the templates have grown. Sometimes it's because schools duplicate templates, but you can see that there's more usage of secure document, and we definitely want to go in the direction of having the schools and central office both use more secure documents rather than paper and postage. Next slide. This here you see the engagement. Rich, are you in the call to explain this?
Call. That's just the Engage product is the base product, and then Secure Docs is added on top of it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just the product offerings.
Okay. And is this the last slide?
Yes.
Okay, great. Do you have any questions?
I'm looking for hands. I don't see any. One question just on the competitive side of things of others that offer this product too.
On the competitive side, we have a number of issues, right? The other companies do not offer text messaging, and the implementation, right? It's a heavy investment on the front end for training and install, making sure the system is running well. We're also looking for additional savings through other Parent Square products that could replace other products that we're paying for today. Deb or Rich, I don't know on your end if you want to respond also to the competitive.
I can say, this is Deb, that there are products out there that pretend to be as good as Parent Square, but they're just not. They don't live up to it. For example, and Rich, if you want to talk on this as well, like School Messenger still exists. It just is not as good. It's actually not good. Just between us, you, me, and the lamppost. Apogee has a product offering called Alerts and Rooms that are similar, but they're just not as good. Rich, I know you've looked into some of these. If you want to comment on
So
it.
Parent Square, one of the reasons we went to Parent Square was it allowed us to remove a number of platforms we had in the district. For example, I think we had Remind was one of the platforms. Class Dojo was another platform. School Messenger. So we tried to consolidate those tools so that we can provide teachers and staff with one tool to use across the district. The nice thing with Parent Square is it does integrate across multiple channels and communication. So it's not just, voice or text. You're getting voice, text, and the app. And that digital transcribe to native whole languages was really important too. I don't think there are very many other products that offer those types of solutions where they're able to digital transcribe, have that ability to remove a number of platforms from the organization while still maintaining those features.
Thank you. And the reason for my question is that it's just not like a vendor doesn't think at any point in time that they're irreplaceable. And for us, we want people to know we're being fiscally responsible along the lines of contracts and renewal of contracts. So these type of contracts come to us, again, we're just looking to always have that conversation. That is just not like, oh, Power School, they're great, we're not getting rid of them, and they don't have a worry and be able to just be the sole vendor and have no problems with ever being replaced. That's just my thing with these contracts. But that's all I have, and I don't see any other hands raised. So with no other questions, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you, Chair.
And now I think we're moving into language line, and that's Ms. Hooker.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Janelle Hooker, and I am the Executive Director of the Office of Strategic Partnership and Fund Development for Hartford Public Schools. I am here tonight bringing to your attention a renewal to our language line contract for the district. Next slide. So Hartford Public Schools has been contracting language line services for not only in-phone interpretation services, but last year we updated to also have video interpretation for our district due to an increase on services needed during our school year 2020-2021 due to the pandemic. We had to amend our services and or contract at that time to support the need of ensuring that we had this service accessible to as many families and students within our district. Due to this process, we have also been able to maximize an opportunity to ensure that our multilingual families and students have access to this in all of their schools as they're conducting different services. If it is like PPTs or any type of meetings that they're doing with families that need translation in different languages. For example, graduation is coming up, and out of the 11 schools that are having graduations, 9 of them have selected or reached out to have this service available, a translation available for for their graduation ceremony. Next slide. In being fiscally responsible, for the past 2 years, I have kept an eye on different organizations providing similar services as Language Line to ensure that the amount that we are requesting for the contract tonight is fiscally responsible and provide the service that we do need for our students in our district, as we know that we have over 80 languages as part of our of our district. Language Line continues to be, at this time, the most competitive organization providing the service. However, there is an AI organization that is out there right now that I'm looking to explore a little more to understand what would the how much would it take for us to shift over in terms of the infrastructure, the training of the individuals that we currently have, and for that to be able to be a part of this research and rationale, I will need to pilot it at least one of our schools to really understand, and not just what I'm reading, but understand what is the lift of something like that in our district. So at this time, I'm just sharing with you the organizations that I'm able to tell you what's the cost in cents for the service. And I'm hoping that by next year, at the time that we're reviewing this contract, I'm able to provide a better understanding if going the AI route would be another avenue for us to explore. Next slide, please. In reviewing the service that we offered through Language Line, I wanted to share with you some data, some usage data from the past 2 school years. So the current school year versus the year before. And as you can see, Spanish continues to be the highest volume or the highest number of individuals that are using this service. Last school year, we had it at 79%. This current school year, which this report is as of May 7th, so July 1st through May 7th, and it's at 84% utilization of the service. So it continue to be something that is highly needed in terms of providing the support at each one of our schools and families. Next slide. The Language Line partnership that we're seeking with bringing to your attention this contract today will provide interpretation services in various languages. The good thing about this provider is that it is available 24/7. It doesn't need to be scheduled, meaning you don't need to call and schedule an appointment for the call for the following school day. It can be utilized right there and then. 84% of the calls that we've had this current school year are for Spanish language. The calls are not recorded, as it does, some of our calls do have sensitive information being discussed. So it's not a recorded type of service, so it does provide for privacy during the time of these calls. Other languages that we have utilizing the service, Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, Swahili, Karen, Haitian Creole, Haitian, Turkish, as other languages that are also utilized in the service across the district. Next slide, please. This is just to highlight the top 5 calls that we've had during this current school year based on the report that I run from July 1st through May 7th. And as you can see, the volume and call for Spanish are 8,948 with an approximate duration of 12 minutes. And you can see so on and so forth, the other languages, the volume and call, as well as the average duration of such calls. The contract amount that we're looking for Language Line, it's $140,000 for Language Line for the school year. However, based on the utilization and the fact that I'm looking to pilot an AI approach, if possible, for the following school year, based on utilization so far, the contract amount that I'm looking to get your approval would be $130,000 for the upcoming school year. At this time, I'll open it up for any questions that you may have.
Thank you for that, Ms. Hooker. There's a question from Board Member Shanka.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for this presentation. I learned about a new group of languages. I didn't know about Karen before. But so when you're saying you're asking for 130,000, is there any upfront cost to have a partnership with them, or it's just as used basis?
So it's based on the usage. There is no upfront cost. The contract that we do with them will come into effect in the month of July, as during the summer months, some of the schools do have it as they're looking at registration for families. So having the tool is something that is needed. Is not as the volume of calls are not as high during the summer months as it is during the school year, but having it start in July is something that would be necessary for those type of families that are looking for starting the registration process at our schools.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions on Language Line? And I do want to apologize because we were advertising this like you could get some in person and we can afford it.
No, we cannot.
As
I
much
wish
as we, as much as we wanted to. But in those cases, could we still possibly, because there's some comfortability about having someone in the room when parents push back, and I know everyone at the job has a job, everyone, in the school system, is there a possibility for if someone can make themselves available if we planned it correctly, time allotted? And that might not be a question for you, Ms. Hooker.
So yeah, I understand your question. And yes, so we have this current school year and the previous school year on a case-by-case basis based on the need, facilitated in-person translation, which is really more expensive and it really has a toll on the budget. So that is really on a case-by-case basis that we have facilitated those services when schools reach out and explain what's the situation to allow for a decision to be made. What Language Line help us do is to ensure that a bigger number of multilingual families have access to information and conversations at the school, so that we can really be not only available to them so they can make informed decisions, but also in compliance with the Parent Bill of Rights around having information accessible in their native language. So we try.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Appreciate your presentation. So I don't see any hands raised, so thank you.
Thank you.
So we would be moving on to open architect and nope, sorry. Yeah,
Power School, sorry.
no. Power School. I'm skipping to the last one. So Power School, and that's going to be presented by Abby Olinger Quint. You have the floor.
All right, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. I think I get to take two of the last ones, so that's exciting. All right, so I am here tonight to present our Power School contract for next year, 26-27. What you're going to see in this contract is a proposal that renews and enhances our digital core operating systems for managing our student data, managing our enrollment and registration process, our instructional decision-making tools, as well as our financial planning tools. The package this year is going to show you that there's going to be a significant upgrade to our MTSS platform that is rooted in our whole and healthy students strategy. It's also going to provide more integrated tools to our teachers so that it integrates directly with our assessment platform to allow them to be more targeted with identifying at-risk students and providing interventions to them. Another thing, and I will get into it in a second, but just another highlight is we will be transitioning away from Navient, so you may not see that represented here in this contract. And the purpose of that is there was a team that came together to select a different tool, which I'm sure you'll be learning about in the near future. But that will be a reduction of the Power School contract. And then we're hoping together that all of these agreements in totality will ensure continuity of our essential operations. Christina, could you go ahead and jump to slide 3? So as I mentioned, the contract aims to establish the infrastructure that we need to fulfill primarily our state mandated operational instructional requirements, along with advancing the district requirements established by our strategic plan. 3 objectives in this particular contract involve modernizing our intervention tracking. We will be upgrading our legacy special programs tool, which was a Power School tool, but was not integrated with the assessment tool. So we will be upgrading that from a basic tool to a more integrated solution, which will provide a better experience for our teachers and more responsiveness for our students who are at risk. This tool will be able to provide teachers with a real-time dashboard so that they can see academic, behavioral, and mental health interventions. And then, as I indicated, along with real-time data from our assessment system, but also from attendance and behavior, because it'll be integrated with the SIS, Student Information System, as well. Ensuring operational excellence is another objective by maintaining a system that unifies our different components together. We're able to keep Power School as the district digital record of authority for our registration of students, for our enrollment, demographics, academic history, for all of our school sites and programs. So really the totality of the student experience in one place. And then for fiscal transparency, we are renewing our solution, Allovue Budget Suite, which we adopted last year. You might remember we adopted that tool last year. This is assisting our finance department in translating complex financial data into accessible dashboards to ensure that our resources are deployed equitably to our school leaders. And also making sure that they have a idea of how our student needs are being supported by the funding sources. This proposal directly informs for all 4 of our priorities. As I mentioned, whole and healthy students will be supported by a new MTSS tool to really help us develop and implement a comprehensive MTSS framework. It supports the expansive learning and opportunity We do have a really robust way of collecting our college and career readiness opportunities for our high schoolers so that we can better understand the continuum of their career and college learning. We also collect quite a bit of health and wellness data in PowerSchool as well. Our skilled and diverse teams, our hopes is that the EleView suite, as well as all of the other systems, work together to help our school leaders make better decisions around financial expenditures and instructional decision making. And then finally, keeping PowerSchool as the source of truth, it helps feed all of our other data sources to ensure that we have high integrity data sources and outcomes. This contract is going to be $560,000 this year. However, it is representing a reduction of $43,000, a little bit over $43,000 from the prior year. And some of this has been through some conversations that we had with our vendor regarding annual uplifts that have historically been about 7%. So we worked with them to help bundle our solutions together to find some fiscal savings. And also we worked on reducing some of our contract costs due to declining enrollment. Christina, if you could advance one more time. Just a visual for you to see how the different components work together. I'm not sure why that transition is so slow. It's like, and voila, here we go. We have our core. I'm sorry? Okay.
My internet is very slow right now.
Oh, is that what's going on? I didn't know it was like a major unveil. So as I indicated, we have our student information system. This is the place where most of our essential student information is stored. Academic history, we have our demographics, our health data for students' immunizations and vaccinations. We have our family outreach data stored there, behavior, attendance, grading, etc. And this involves all of our school sites, including adult ed and our programs. So we keep track of it all there. We have our enrollment system that works with PowerSchool to deliver registration directly into the schools so that they can begin the scheduling process and outreach for kids. We have the MTSS Insights and Analytics tool that I said was going to be a major upgrade for this year, moving away from that legacy RTI tool. This is going to provide a dashboard that synchronizes our data on academics, behavior, and mental health together so our teams can be more responsive. We have our performance management assessment management system. This is actually the tool where we administer all of our interim ELA, math, social studies, science assessments to students, as well as a lot of our formative assessments, such as our module or unit-based assessments that we might find in the curriculum. You may also hear of foundations or our mastery-based assessments. Those are additional assessments that are administered through Performance Matters. We have really tried very hard to utilize the full capacity of this system so that we are not spending extra money on outside consultants or other vendors that are more costly and siloed. And as I mentioned, we have our EleView budget suite to help our leaders monitor their spend downs and ensure our resources are deployed equitably. The most important, well, another important mention along this is that this is a cloud-hosted system with very robust cybersecurity. So we are backed, all of our systems are backed with the global standard of security protocols, and it is in full compliance with Connecticut-specific data privacy requirements. Christina, if you could go one more slide. Okay. I wanted to show a visual of some potential strategic alignment, so you could kind of see how some of these systems support our strategic plan, but also some state mandated requirements. So I have the MTSS insights and analytics along with the performance matters, so you can see how they integrate together to support whole and healthy students. This operational purpose is to centralize data on our academic behavior, attendance, and intervention data in one place so that we can do more effective tiered intervention planning. It will eventually allow us to do longitudinal progress monitoring as we implement. And a benefit is that it will reduce some data entry redundancy on behalf of our teachers, which I think they will be happy with. And then this directly aligns with the state requirement for SRBI and to make sure that we are providing MTSS to students that are at risk. And then our operational and management excellence, we can see how 3 different solutions, the PowerSchool student information system, performance matters, and the financial suite, those are supporting our requirements in our strategic plan around maintaining a system of record, supporting enrollment, scheduling, attendance, grading, state reporting, family engagement, centralizing our assessments, being actionable with our data. And then you can see some of the state requirements and compliance requirements that these particular systems help us respond to. Christina, if you could go ahead one more. And then getting into that cost reduction that I mentioned at the front of the presentation. This is a exact actual cost versus proposed cost of each one of the solutions that is proposed in this current contract. We were able to negotiate price reductions on the student information system, on the assessment management system performance matters, and on the enrollment system to reduce the cost of those systems through bundling so that we could then offset the cost of the newer MTSS Insights and Analytics tool. So really that additional tool did not cost us additional money that we spent last year. There will be a one-time implementation that will be to invest in training and system setup for the MTSS platform, but that will not be a recurring cost beyond this year. So this does represent a 7.2% contract reduction overall. And I have one more slide to show you some measures of success. So just in general, we are expecting all of our systems to be available 99.9% of the time and adhere to data privacy laws and encryption. Our student information system helps us do our state reporting. And so there are tools embedded within that system that help us achieve a 0% error rate in data reporting. This directly ensures that when we are reporting data to the state, it'll help make sure our funding streams remain sound and intact and aligned to our enrollment. When students enroll in our district, because it is done in a digital way, we have a better opportunity to collect a lot of their required documentation and then reduce that time that is spent between the registration process and the start of school. So really shortening that period of time that somebody visits the Welcome Center to enroll in school and then immediately start school. Performance Matters allows us to administer all of our interim informative assessments. So one of the measures of success would be the degree to which we're able to do that with fidelity. The MTSS system, we are hoping to have 100% of students in tier 2 or 3 have an active digital intervention plan within the system. And then finally, for Allaview, a measure of success would be that 100% of our school leaders can utilize the accessible dashboards to align their budget expenditures with improvement strategies by the end of the year. And then finally, I think I'm on to questions.
Any questions? Yeah,
I have one.
Board Member Bales?
Yeah. Is there a change in the dollar amount from last year to this year?
Yes. Yep. The change in the dollar amount was, I think I said it was 42, 40, it's 40, let me get the exact number. I'm sorry about that. Because I have it summarized. The actual dollar amount is $43,621.53. When we approved PowerSchool last time at this time of the year, Allaview was not included. Allaview was if that was what you were wondering about, Allaview was a budget amendment that occurred later in the school year after the initial PowerSchool contract was approved.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
I don't see any other questions, so you can move right into your next presentation.
Thank you. All right.
It's coming.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
This one might be a little bit more interactive for members of the board. I was able to put in a bit more visualization in here. So this is the proposal for open architect contract for 2026, 27. We are not in 2022. Christina, if you could advance 2 slides. So some objectives of this contract this year are to create a unified reporting portal that consolidates our district data. So this is coming from all of our operating systems in the district. So all of our student operating systems, our human resources, and our finance systems into one place, one interactive place where all of our stakeholders, our district leaders, our teachers, the board can come together to see a holistic view of our district outcomes. It's also another objective is to advance our data-driven decision-making by enabling staff to triangulate data across multiple sources, such as looking at their academic performance, attendance, and behavior outcomes to identify any equity gaps. And then finally, to increase the capacity of our internal team, my team, and other teams like mine, by automating data loads and dashboard construction so that we can shift our focus to supporting schools with their data analysis and planning. The deliverable will be the existing warehouse that we currently have, along with its custom dashboards for student financial and human resources data. The contract cost is $154,000, $8,875, $1,100. I'm sorry, I'm just like so parched right now. The contract is 1 term, and this is presented by my team along with the deputy superintendent, and these dashboards support all strategic priorities. If we could go ahead and advance. Open Architect, and for those of you who have been around, this is our 4th year, but I thought that this would just be helpful background to remind us of the company. Open Architect is a Massachusetts-based organization that supports school districts, municipalities, and nonprofits with data visualization. They build their own custom tools. It's a heavily customized system that is customer driven. So they have their own data visualization dashboards that they have created with other types of tools that I'll be talking about in a minute, and analytics. So their mission is to provide data tools and services that enable public service leaders to achieve their vision. And the staff used to work in school districts in the Northeast. And so they are practitioners, and they value dashboard development based on practitioner input. And go ahead and advance. So services that they will be providing this year include the maintenance of the web portal and the dashboard system that we currently have. We have regular data transfers that happen as often as nightly to whenever a data file comes in. For example, like our attendance data feeds nightly, our enrollment data feeds nightly. However, SAT data might be a specific load because it's not administered every day. They will ensure the security of our data and our access permissions. They mimic all of our user access off of PowerSchool permissions so that the user can see the exact students who are assigned to them or that school building that they are supposed to see. The data warehouse tools allow the creation of custom queries across data sets and specialized exports. So that's another feature that they will provide. And then the contract includes access to the software and all the services, but also includes creation and maintenance of the data transfers, the development of all dashboards requested by the HPS core development team, which is an inter-district team between the Office of Performance, the Office of OTM, and the Office of Finance. Ongoing configuration of user permissions as needed, and then professional learning. We could go ahead and advance. Just wanted to describe a few accomplishments from this current school year that we've done, and I have a couple of visualizations there if you're able to scroll in. But the district requested, along with our dashboards, specific page called Key Insights, which are question-driven inquiries to support our users that might not be as comfortable with using data as others. So you can see some examples there, what key insights might be. Rather than bringing a user right to a dashboard that may not be very familiar with that dashboard, rather there is also the opportunity to start with a question. For example, when do most absences occur during the school year? An ACE team within a building might be able to use that to drive the development of their year-long calendar and incentive days for students to address days that kids are frequently absent. Or if a school is wondering if they have a problem with increased absences on Fridays, there's a question that they could go right to that dashboard to look into the day of the week that kids are most frequently absent. Another tool that has recently been launched is print-friendly reports for our families to help inform parent-teacher conferences that are holistic. So it will summarize not only the assessment data for children, but also it includes their attendance, their behavior. It may also include comments or interventions that the school has been working with that we would like to share with parents. That tool is I know that you heard earlier, Deb and Pedro talking about the cost of postage, but that also is a tool that could either be printed to be shared directly with parents at a parent-teacher conference, or it could be uploaded directly as a embedded report to Parent Square and shared with parents based on their students' information. We also introduced a secure FERPA compliant AI assistant named Archie that also helps our users better use the tools. So while the Insights dashboard is available for them to go right and look for a question, instead they could go right to Archie and type in what their question is. So if they weren't sure where the dashboard is they were wanting to explore, they could just go right to Archie and say, which days do students miss during the week? And Archie will bring them right to that dashboard. Archie does not ingest student data. The tool simply just brings them to the logic built within the dashboard system to help them find the visualization that they're looking for. And then finally, there was a lot of work done this year with making sure all of our dashboards looked and felt the same way and had consistent design. And not only that, but to make sure that our teachers had access to relevant information needed for the classroom level. And so we rolled out a new look and feel of dashboards, as well as teacher edition dashboards for our attendance, behavior, and assessments such as DIBELS or Foundations, for example. Those are two assessments that are done in different platforms outside of Performance Matters. Well, not Foundations, but DIBELS is. And so we made sure that those were integrated in one spot so teachers had access to all of their assessments within one place. We also have been working with our college and career readiness team to improve visualizations around for excuse me, yeah, FERPA, not FERPA.
FAFSA.
No,
FAFSA.
FAFSA. It's a long day. Around FAFSA and also around Naviance visualizations. Thanks, Rich. And we added again the the custom behavior dashboard insights. We dug in a lot around our behavior dashboards and customizing insights that we hope to see regarding behavior. If we could go ahead and advance. I just wanted to also showcase a couple of things that might be interesting to the board. One is our public-facing dashboard, and it has a number of different elements that are accessible publicly. This information sits on our website in a place within our website called HPS Information Hub. And if you are interested, there is a link there, a live link right there to the place where it lives. It does allow for exploration if someone is interested in exploring data by school or by grade, as well as different demographic groups for our students. In this particular dashboard, you can see that there's an enrollment summary, you can see our attendance, our behavior, and then it starts getting into some of our summative assessment data. For example, you can see there an example of our Smarter Balance and NGSS data, and then there is a scroll where we can go down farther to see additional information about our district. I have another example. We could, yeah. This is an example of the college and career readiness dashboard that we customized with our CCR team. We had a challenge with Naviance in that our stakeholders or our counselors felt like it was hard to get their data outcomes out of Naviance. They were having a hard time with reporting. So we worked with our CCR team to develop this dashboard to help our schools better understand college application process. So this is displaying the percent of students who applied and were accepted to college by school location, what types of colleges they applied and were accepted to, and things like that. And if we could, one more, just another example of the key insights dashboards that we worked on creating. I mentioned that the behavior key insights was something that we had worked on. And so these were some samples of what we were looking for. For example, who are our high incidence students? What incidents are major and minor? What time are the incidents occurring within our schools? And how does suspension and incident rates compare based on demographics? So really that is getting at, do we have any mismatches between our enrollment and the percent of kids who are experiencing referrals or suspensions? For our scope of work for this coming year, Open Architect will continue to maintain the online analytics platform that we have with the interactive dashboards and data tools, which all of our staff have access to. This allows easy drill down into multiple different systems, and there are extensive filters available, and they can be exported, they can be downloaded into Excel spreadsheets. Currently, there are 27 dashboards represented across our student, human resources, and finance data sources. This comes with the Archie AI integration, along with a way to input notes around interventions. It has a data builder tool for collecting data sources that might not live elsewhere, and then that public-facing dashboard that I mentioned. We do have unlimited user licenses throughout our district, so as our users increase, that does not impact our cost. It includes the cost of all of the data connections that might be needed, as well as maintenance and refreshes. It includes the cost of safe hosting in alignment with FERPA and state data privacy requirements. It does include ongoing customer-driven development and dashboard modifications. So my team, and again, HR and finance, meet monthly with Open Architect development to drive the improvements that we are looking for our school district specifically. And then it also includes implementation, user training, and technical support. Just a statement regarding why Open Architect versus other vendors or other options. So we have had other dashboard tools in the past, and this was a result of consolidating other attempts, and this is a recommended choice for some reasons. One is this is a software as service model, which means that we don't have to have dedicated staff to do all of the work that they're doing. The data loads, the design of dashboards, gathering user feedback and specs, designing professional learning, actually writing reports and dashboards. We had a department that came in and determined that there was not sufficient internal capacity to sustain the level of work needed to have a dashboard system. And so if we want to continue a fully featured dashboard solution, this would be the way to go. OA's pricing is very competitive as far as software solutions go. And so this is a savings for our school district over other solutions that might come up. And then also, as I mentioned earlier, Open Architect is based on people who used to be practitioners in school districts in New England, and they have experience working in urban public education systems, and therefore understand the data that educators are looking for and understand how to put those visualizations together to help their users make interpretations. Any questions on Open Architect?
I don't see any hands up. Any questions, board members? Mr. Walker?
Thank you, Chair. Just a comment. The information was rich and I am wondering, is there a high level that I guess the takeaway that I'm taking away from this? Because I think you presented to me all the different ways it can provide data. And what I guess from a commentary standpoint, I think I may have gotten a little bit more if we just walked through a couple of scenarios that would show I get this, I get this, I can get this, and it provides this benefit because my head's trying to take in it all.
A lot. Well, let me give you an example.
Yes.
A huge example. I will tell you, Mr. Geisler at MD Fox, he is one of the top users in our district. He uses it all the time. He had, and I didn't even tell him I was going to be talking about him tonight. But he uses the dashboard. He has an instructional leadership team that he meets with weekly, at least weekly. Many of those, sometimes those meetings are used for ACE, which is our attendance climate engagement. And ACE is often looking at attendance outcomes, behavior outcomes, and among other things that kids might need. So Mr. Geisler comes together with his school leadership team, and he brings this dashboard up that they all have access to, and they explore together the trends that they see for attendance within their building. Has their attendance rate gone up? Has it gone down? What is going on with groups of students within their building? For example, are there grade levels that are struggling over others? They can see individual students, and they can see if an individual, like the students within their building, who's going up and who's going down in terms of attendance rates week over week. They can also hop over to another dashboard, and they could see if they had an inquiry about a set of kids, they could go and see how those kids might be doing either in a particular assessment, or they could look at behavior outcomes. Sometimes the things that we do around behavior impact our attendance. If we have a group of students who might have been suspended recently, things like that, or if there was an activity that happened within a classroom or a school. They really can as a team, use different visualizations within the system without having to go to different data systems. Like we have maybe 16 different places that they go through to get information, but instead this is all together in one place, and they can hop between different types of information together to come up with trends that are happening within their buildings week to week. Is that helpful?
Yeah, thank you. If I can give a super quick response, I think yes, that example of slicing and dicing the data is helpful. I think what would add power to it, like in Mr. Geisler's situation, if he had actual teams on the ground, like teachers in classrooms trying to digest that data, and one can really show that getting that real-time data assessment would help show a teacher that, hey, this thing I tried A, B, and C. Oh, did it actually work? You know, I did something for 3 weeks. Did it actually move the needle? A way where that real-time use of the data, it's more than insight. It actually shows whether a result, it guides and leads in a way that would be really, really powerful. The other thing you share, I think, is the use of Archie. I think that would be phenomenally. I think pieces it takes the edge off of the data overload. And you have so many sources of data. A person's got to be like, you know, a Svengali to figure out where do I go to get this data. And so I do appreciate. I think that use of Archie sounded like a very powerful tool to actually make it usable to the more casual person who just wants to get, like you said, a nice result to reveal, you know, a change.
I was very positive
That's
when
it.
Archie came out. I felt very excited about that because not everybody is comfortable with using data. And so Archie allows, you know, real time, like talk into the system, you know, type it as you want to. You don't have to use data speak in order to get your question answered. And so like just say, what is it you're looking for? And I think that does exactly like you say, take the edge off of somebody who might not feel comfortable with diving into what's going on with their information.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you for the presentation. Shout out to Mr. Geisler, one of my favorite folks. I'm biased. I worked with him. I worked with him when I had my toughest year-long subbing class. So we worked together before he was a principal. So great to always hear that he's doing well.
Oh yeah, he's in there all the time.
That's what he said when I saw him.
Did he tell you that?
No. He was like, he said he's just always at the school all the time.
He's
you
always
know.
checking his information, always.
Yes. So thank you for your presentation. So we're tight on time, but we are gonna do a FY27 update. We're gonna get that from our CFO. And I don't think at one point in time on this phone that I acknowledge our superintendent is here, Dr. Townsell. But Ms. Richard, you can give your update.
Okay. And yes, I know I'm not known to have short PowerPoints, but I promise this one is short. So we're going to do a quick update in the interest of time. I will say just shout out to all of the owners who just presented. We've been really focused on connecting the contracts to the resource strategy, making sure everyone's looking at, you know, competitive vendors, doing their due diligence. And so just if anyone's wondering if we're being fiscally responsible, I think hearing 5 different people speak through how they thought about that is some evidence of that. Turning now to, we're going to do a quick FY26 and then FY27 budget update. So when it comes to FY26, we have been messaging a deficit. So about $22 million is what we've been projecting. That was due to multiple factors that we've been talking about since October, including revenue decline based on enrollment decline. lower vacancies than anticipated, and the need for additional special education paraprofessionals. As you all probably know, and we talked a bit last time, the CSDE announced at its board meeting on April 1st that they believed we had a surplus based on some information they looked at. And so they then conducted an independent audit on the projection. And the update is that we do indeed have a deficit, and actually it's even larger than the 22 million. And that is for a few reasons. So I think main thing to know is we do have a deficit. They've worked through that projection process. It's closer to 29 million. And the three reasons for that is one, there is going to be about 7.5 million in additional city funding. 3 million of that was supposed to come from savings from consolidating services between the city and BOE. Because that didn't happen, the city indicated that funding then, essentially those savings did not happen, so that funding is not available. So that's something we found out through this, wouldn't have known that ahead of time. Another 3 million is just the increased cost of healthcare. So through this process, we consulted with our health insurance consultants. So they're the ones that help us do projections, and they had some updated projections for us. Health costs are rising everywhere, and also for us. And then the last piece, the 2 million, it's just an update on the projection methodology of how we account for part-time payrolls. It's hard to know how often part-time people are working, but I worked with the auditors on that piece to update that part of the projection. So those are the reasons, and we have a deficit. And so really, and we've continued to focus the conversation on how we solve that problem, but wanted to share that all with you. You have the March financials. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Things are trending really similar to last year. I will just note that what I think CSD looked at was just our monthly financials. This just shows what we've expensed and encumbered. It doesn't show the projection component. That's where we do some of the analysis. So it wouldn't have been enough to predict something, but I think the main thing to know is that we are trending close to last year with some increases around salaries for the reasons we've named. Salary increases, lower vacancy rates, and then tuition is also higher than last year, which was part of our projection. Another piece I want to bring to your attention is that we have been doing lots of reviews of everything in our finances, both FY26 and then also as we've built the budget for next year. We've been digging really deep into our tuition payments, as this is one of the biggest parts of our budget, source of the deficit. And what we discovered is that not all of the receiving towns, so when a student from Hartford who's a resident of Hartford goes to a suburban district, they have not all been deducting grant funding from when they bill us for tuition. And so the way that it works is that when a district, so a Hartford resident student goes to a suburban district, if that student is special education, that district can charge us tuition, but they have to subtract out any of the open choice grant money they got from the state. So all districts have been subtracting out the base grant, so they each get a certain amount per student, depending on the percentage of Hartford students. But in 2023, towns started getting what they call a chef bonus. So it was $2,000 per Hartford resident student. So they started getting that in FY23, so the past 3 years. This was part of the chef permanent injunction, the settlement agreement. We did an analysis on looking at the towns that have not been including this. And it's about $2 million, $2.3 million that is owed to us that essentially was not deducted from tuition payments that we made to other towns. And so we did reach out to CSDE. We elevated this issue. They sent a letter to open choice districts stating, yes, this is a state statute that you must reduce the tuition payments by the amount of the grant. But they said that they would not get involved in matters between districts when it came to past payments. And so what our plan is, because these are funds that are owed to us, this was grant money given to districts that needs to be deducted from tuition. We are planning on the invoices that we pay for the current year, so in FY26, to deduct the amount that is owed to us. It is not every town, but there is a subset of towns for whom this is true. Some of them have different amounts in different years, but we would say, here's the total amount owed. We'd work with them on that and just deduct that from the amount that we owe them for the year. So that is our plan to move forward, but I did want to make you all aware of that situation, of CSD's response, and what we are planning to do. And then just one more slide on FY27, and then we can do any quick thoughts or questions. Only this is not our only time to talk about all of this. I just wanted to make sure we had something for the Finance Committee, but we will have continued conversations over the course of the next month. When you look at FY27, as you all know, we made a budget ask. This is $60 million. It includes what we call our baseline deficit, which is just keeping the same services as what we had this year. That's 52.5 million. We also then are asking for 5 million in additional special education programming and 3 million in literacy interventionists. So that's how we get to the total of 60. Like I said, there's still more to come, but we do have an update on the state level budget. There's about 32 million additional dollars for Hartford Public Schools in the state budget that passed a little over a week ago. And this is the biggest increase to Hartford Public Schools ever. So we're very excited about that. There's been obviously a lot of momentum on the advocacy, a huge shift from the governor's original budget of $0 for education to every town getting something for education and Hartford getting the biggest amount. So there's 20.5 million in what they're calling an education equalization grant, somewhat equivalent to ECS money in the form of the grant for next year. And you can see the specific parts of legislation where this each comes from. There's also a supplemental town aid grant. The whole grant is about 13.1 million. Of that, 11.5 is planned for BOE specifically. And then, so that's the 32 is those two numbers added together. And there is then an opportunity to apply for additional funding through a new MARB structure. You can also see the statutes there, and this would require a board vote. So more conversations to come on that piece. It is an opportunity for more funding. On the city side, they are voting on their budget on May 20th. They have signaled an increase for the board, but we will learn more over the course of this month. And like I said, we're still tracking both on the state and city fronts, and understanding how various forms of funding will be used to cover both the FY26 deficit, now that we have confirmed that is indeed a deficit, and the deficit for next year. I do want to encourage you all, board members, also viewing public. We have a MARB meeting this Thursday at 10 a.m. It will be live streamed. Christina can share the information. There is likely a bit more to be shared then from the city side. And so I do encourage you to tune into that because that will be likely the next place that we get more information. I know that was quick. I promised to be quick. It was a lot. So I will pause there. Knowing we will have more time to talk about all of this, are there some pressing questions that folks have right now?
I don't see any hands popping up just yet.
I have a
Mr.
question.
Mills.
Yeah,
He
no,
said, I'm
give me
gonna
a-
I'm gonna
was trying
physically
to find a
raise my.
thing. I was trying to find
I
a thing
saw
that
you
wasn't
though.
working.
You were in my first 4 boxes, so I saw the hand go up. Go ahead, Mr. Mills.
Do we have any priority list of how we're going to be using any of the additional funding with air quotes, like heavy air quotes? Like, how are we prioritizing what we're going to spend next? Like that funding on?
The additional funding from the state?
Yeah.
So it actually goes to the city. It has to be spent on education, and then
No, I know that, but I mean, like, once we get it passed through to us, do we have a ready-made priority list of what we plan on using it for, or is it
just covering the deficit? Like, and I think the lowest priority would be the additions, if that makes sense. So we would want to cover the baseline, and then it would be the special ed programming, then the literacy interventionist, just because those are new. But within that 52.5, we have not prioritized, because that would be the equivalent of saying, like, what would we cut if we didn't get it? So for now, it's just solve the deficit, and then once that's solved, the additional things that we asked for.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Thank you for that presentation and update. I don't see any hands raised. Mr. Superintendent, did you have any words for us this evening?
Yes, I just want to thank everybody for their engagement through this budget process. We are thankful that the governor and Hartford delegation did work hard for us to find opportunity to get us through fiscal year 26 and have conversations for 27, with the structure being the main piece down the line. I also would like to share that very, very concerned about the chef bonuses that were withheld from us over the last 3 years. I mean, when we talk about a deficit and everyone's telling us what we're doing wrong. The question is, when we're owed $2 million and we say, hey, there's $2 million not giving to us, my wonder is, why isn't every hand on deck to help us retrieve what's been withheld from us? So it's an ongoing process with trying to ensure that things are right for the families, students, and Hartford community at large. So thankful for the engagement. We're going to keep doing what's best, speaking truth to power. I would still like, as superintendent, to understand who said we had a surplus, and then how much money was spent on that audit to prove what we were saying is correct. We talk about taxpayer dollars and being fiduciaries of our finances. Who's making those decisions to cause confusion in Hartford Public Schools? We're not confused. So I think that needs to be addressed at some level. Someone has to be accountable for saying we have a surplus after we've proven year after year after year there's been a deficit. But as soon as things get hot and heavy, someone says surplus. And then when the audit is done, we find out there's no surplus. The deficit is even larger than we forecast. So that's all I want to share. I will park my bus on that. Very excited that we're moving in the right direction.
Thank you for that. And I share those same sentiments, but it's us as board members who represent this district. That's the oath we took, and is actually our responsibility to be in those spaces, asking those questions, and asking for the same energy around when you think you got us on something, to have that same energy when you should publicly correct yourself and make the correction a part of the record as you made the accusation. So that's our duty. But Mr. Walker has a question.
No, thank you, Chair. I think said a lot of what I was going to say. I just wanted to co-sign two things the superintendent brought up. I too would like, privately or otherwise, to talk to the CSDE, because we were audited and recently, and they had only $400,000 difference. And so I too felt like, how do we go from that moment to a significant surplus? It would feel like their own internal staff would have scratched their head and say, before we go public, let's triple check and check with the local district before we make a public statement. And so, yes, it does become questionable, that kind of public statement. The other point I totally want to co-sign on is, because the CSDE funds all the local towns, I was a little surprised when CSDE was informed that some of the towns were withholding money, why they too would not say, well, we're going to withhold similar money from you until you correct this. I think them taking their hands off, like we have to fight this battle where it's an obvious wrong. So it seemed like they could have done a little bit more to use their leverage to go ahead and get this resolved on our behalf. So I just co-sign this superintendent saying a little more help at that level would be appreciated from CSDE. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Walker, for that. So at this time, I can call this meeting to a close. And I thank everyone for their contribution, the reports, the presentations. And until next meeting.